You mentioned about Sportsradar, and I want to go back into that a little bit, about this company that you are in the process of making a strategic investment in. Is that what we call it?
We've just made an investment, and Mark Cuban and Michael Jordan have joined our syndicate. And
we've heard of them.
The three of us will join this advisory board, help the company to come from Europe here in North America. And they have a lot of momentum. They've done a big deal with the NFL, with the NHL, with NASCAR. And it really is at this convergence of where data and streaming and just allowing real-time information for media companies and for fans who just have this insatiable appetite to have more and more information about their teams, their fantasy teams, their the players that they've picked. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful platform, and one that's scaled, and they built the business in Europe, and now they're coming here.
So take me into this business a little bit, because last time I checked, I guess it was a year or so ago, Stats was sort of the game in town. And it was jointly owned at that point by AP
and Fox.
By Fox, exactly. Yep. And now this is a European company, Sportsradar, that is coming into this market. Where's your competitive advantage here?
Well, it's really interesting because we're starting to see now, because there's 4 billion people online around the world, only 400 million in the United States. And we've traditionally seen U.S.-based companies going outside to grow through Europe and Asia. Now we're starting to see European companies, or like Alibaba, Asian companies, coming to the United States to grow. And Sportsradar really built a lot of scale. They do work with about 60 leagues and different teams. They grew up really in the gaming business, being able to do fraud detection and connecting leagues and teams and casinos and betting parlors to make sure that nothing unsavory was going on the data side.
Can you walk us through then the due diligence process? I mean, we've seen in the fantasy space tons of ethics issues raised just in the last few weeks. How can you be sure that data isn't being taken and used, in terms of illegal betting?
Well, first, 60 million people now that are playing the fantasy games, and obviously that's the first step forward to I think a more regulated what's happened in Europe, where people will be able to bet. And regulating gambling, I think, is something that will happen here in the United States. I think the states want the tax revenues. I also think you get the unsavory part of the industry away, because you'll know where the money is going. You'll be able to do a lot better servicing for the customers. But Sportsradar isn't in that business. They're in the data information business. And again, what we're starting to see in this next generation web world is that data is content. And you just think of a Google page, when you think of what you do in your data streams, it's just X's and O's, and it becomes interpreted and applied, and it becomes content. Well, that's what we're starting to see more and more in sports.
And is the essence of this business the contracts with the leagues to get access to the data? Do you need those contracts to have the full access to data?
It's a big moat once you have these big deals with the leagues, but it also, you want to have deals with the media companies that have the rights to the leagues, and then you want to be able to take those licenses and create new products. I think we're going to see a gamification of data in a big way in real time. I think you'll be watching the game last night, and the quarterback will come up and it's 2nd and 9, and you'll be able in a real-time way to say, what's Joe Flacco do on 2nd and long throughout his career? What are the odds? I think he'll throw a pass instead of call a draw play. And one day you'll be able to game around that.
I was going to say,
one day you'll be able to bet.
Going back to Stephanie, it's a short step from there to a press bet, right? Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah. Watching a football game takes so many hours as it is. I'm just looking at this going, oh my God.
Think of the numbers. There's $8 billion a year bet legally in Las Vegas on the NFL. There's $88 billion bet in an unregulated way, more than 10 times. And so
Is that right?
Yeah.
On sports?
On sports.
Wait, is that why you have been in agreement with Adam Silver that you'd like to see betting in the NBA, because it's happening anyway?
Yeah, I think that we have to get in front of it, and I think shining a light on the industry is the right thing to do, and getting the states new revenue streams, having the federal government have some kind of involvement. And we need it, because you just saw what happened. There was a bad thing that happened, fantasy, and Congress got involved, and although it hasn't affected the business, what I've heard is that both FanDuel and DraftKings had their best week ever the week after.
So maybe they don't need to air all those damn commercials.